with us tonight?
Well, I am your darling. If there's anybody that's a darling, I am your darling.
How are you doing this evening, sir?
Oh, I could be better, but I'm not. So let's move right along with that. I heard you talking about coronavirus.
Yep. Yep.
Um, I'm guessing you were saying something similar to, yeah, and it's heresy. It's heresy to say that overall, if you actually listen to real scientists, deaths are down. Huh.
Ah.
How does that work out? The only deaths that were up were the deaths of the people who constituted the weakest population in the United States, and that's when leftist Democrat Governor Andrew Cuomo forcibly signed a mandate that forcibly shipped people that were coronavirus ridden into the nursing facilities, and then was shocked, I tell you, when it turns out that almost half of the Wuhan 19 deaths in the state of New York are from those people who couldn't fight back, who were shoved into little teeny rooms, and then had people with the most infectious disease as a result of a pandemic in 2020 shoved into those rooms with them. Gobsmacked he was. What? We had deaths? No.
Were you shocked as well? I was completely awed. I couldn't believe that if you put.
No. Who? Come on, let's be serious. Who could have seen that coming? The answer is nobody could have seen that coming.
If you put sick people around aged sick people, that they would eventually die. Who would have figured? I tell
I
you.
know.
Uh,
Okay, so you're in my camp then, aren't you?
yes.
You're in the camp of, how the hell did that happen?
You know what amazes me is that they never report on the number of people who were wearing masks at the time that they became ill. They always report.
Ken, funny you should mention that. Are you sitting down right now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, because I'm about to unleash some amazing stuff. I hope, are your viewers and your listeners sitting down? I hope they're sitting down too, because when they start to swoon, they better grab the armchair, and sit themselves down immediately, because here's something really strange. How is it, and this is a huge question, how is it that, quote, younger people are getting Wuhan 19 now? No one seems to remember these rioters and protesters who are generally young males of war-fighting age, getting all together and rioting, and there was some protesting, but mostly rioting.
Mm-hmm.
And then they all got together, and why are the American media maggots not talking about any of those people? No, it has to be from the people that are in bars, drinking, supping down those suds in the southern countries, because you know all them bubbas can't keep out of the bars. It's got to be them bubbas from them red states which are kicking that crap up. It's got to be them.
Gotta be. Absolutely gotta be. And it's gotta be those kids on the beach. Oh my God. All of those.
No
Oh.
discipline, no respect. Out there supping the suds, tossing down the vodkas and Mai Tais and Long Island iced teas in complete disregard of Democrat governors, just having a good time, not hurting anybody. That's the problem. Oh, Christ, the problem is right there. It's right in front of my face. They weren't rioting. They weren't burning shit. They weren't lighting cop cars on fire. Damn them. So if only they'd done that, then they would have been okay. It would have been the right patriotic thing to do. But, damn those short-sighted people for just have some fun, sipping the suds, tossing down the booze, maybe sharing a joint or two down in them southern states that don't know nothing. They're all responsible.
1 million people show up in Washington, D.C. to riot and protest, and then they go back home. Amazingly, Biff, they went back home.
No. See, there's where you're wrong. You need to be sent. I don't know how many times I told you this now, Ken. You need to be sent in for regrooving like a bad tire. You're still not getting it. That really didn't happen. It was all the bubbas down in the southern states. They were going out on the beaches and they were knocking down the suds and drinking that bad water and the moonshine and all that, and all those other rioters and protesters, they didn't have a thing to do with that. That's not why it's spiking right now. Gee, Ken.
I'm so sorry. I that's why I have to take that remedial course by Zoom at the public school this summer.
Hey, you do need to be sent in for regrooving. Here's another one, a funny little fact.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people want to see only what fits their worldview. Oh, damn it, Jim. Sorry, Ken. Damn it, Ken. Here are some actual stats from around the world, specifically Europe. Wuhan, 19 deaths per 100,000. Well, the United States is coming in at 38. This is from the Wall Street Journal, by the way.
Oh, my goodness.
United Kingdom, twice that, 66. Spain, 61. Italy, 57. France, 44. All more deaths per 100,000 than the United States. But wait, we gotta lock everything up tighter than the sphincter in a 1,000-foot deep blue whale. That's how tight this country's got to be again.
You know, it's also amazing that all of our deaths came during the wintertime. That the majority of all the deaths came during that time period, and it had everything to do with locking people up in houses. No one's figured that one out.
Except for that information got leaked out about almost 3 months ago, where someone wrote a story. And I think even Andrew Cuomo may have even said this once. Oh, I'm sure he'll deny it now. Someone once said about 2.5 months ago, you know, maybe one of the dumbest things we ever did was lock up a bunch of people in little teeny apartments in New York City, and let them all get infected. Because that's only something that the stupid people in the South would do. Lock them up in these little baby apartments, and then crunch them all up in them little bitty hotels, and then take multiple billions of people and shove 38 people into a 5-by-5-foot elevator, and then shove them up into these high-rise buildings, and then put them and crush them down in the subway, where you need shovers like the Tokyo subway to get the damn doors closed, and then how could that have happened? How did New York get hit first? I just don't get it. Because New Yorkers are apparently about as dumb as the stupid people in the South they think they are. How did that work out? Don't get it.
I don't get it. And here's the other thing. How is it that all these cases break out after Memorial Day weekend, after the riots in the middle of June, and then all of a sudden at the end of June, you have these huge numbers of individuals who are going to the emergency room? Now, weren't we told earlier this year that if you felt sick, not to go to the hospital? Do you remember that, Biff?
You could infect everybody.
Yes, right.
If you brought yourself into the hospital, just call up a doctor.
That's it.
Give them your information. If you're lucky, they'll get back to you. If you won't, in a couple of weeks. If you die, you do. If you don't, you don't. That's cool. Stay the hell out of hospitals. We want these hospitals free for the people that really count. You know, the people with the Wuhan 19.
Not the coronavirus.
So
some person standing in the middle of the street, turning around in circles, trying to figure out what instruction do I follow? What do I do? What do I do?
Okay, I have to tell you a quick story.
Yeah.
I printed up an article and I kept it in my pocket for 2 weeks because on social media I kept hearing people in other areas of the country come up and brace somebody who wasn't wearing a mask and said, "You're trying to kill people. You don't care about anybody else. You're selfish. You just care about yourself." And I had 3 articles from 3 separate journals saying how face masks are bad. Because what I said in social media was, for every pro article that you can discover on why you should wear a face mask, I can find one that says the exact opposite.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had prepared in my pocket, just waiting for some dipshit like braced me at a supermarket. But it came up to me and said, kind of pissed me off a little bit. "What are you doing in here? You're not wearing a mask. Can't you see that you're supposed to wear a mask?" This was after Gavin Newsom, by the way, and said about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, that everybody that's out in public has to wear a mask.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, "Really? So do you believe in fear porn?" Well, that didn't go over really well. "Well, there have been numerous studies that have said," and I said, "Wait, hold that thought. So I pulled out my 3 pieces of paper, and I said, "Study 1, what's this? Did you see this? Read it. Oh, wait, hold it. While you're reading that, here's study 2. Oh, and while you're reading that, here's study 3 from the Wall Street Journal. Now tell me what it is about that mask. Now tell me what journals that you're quoting from." I snatched the papers away from him because I was sure he was going to rip them up, and I didn't want to see that happen. And actually just turned around and walked away. So, if you talk with me, be armed with facts.
Exactly.
Statistics. And if you aren't, I'm not going to believe you. Particularly if you're from the government. What portion of what the government tells me anymore since January should I believe about Wuhan 19? Everything we've been told is wrong. And then they want us to bow over and kiss the keister of Governor Newsom in my area or whoever it is that's applicable in your area. And the answer is, no.
Exactly.
You don't quarantine healthy people, you quarantine the sick. I'm 70. I have every comorbidity known to man, including cancer. I'm not wearing no stupid mask. And if I go out with Wuhan 19, because I'm not, because it's the flu, now it is much more rampant and transmittable and endemic than people originally thought. But because of that, the actual fatality rates, if you do the calculations from the doctors that YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter won't allow you to see or hear, the mortality rate is much less than anybody ever thought. It's about 1.2%. Hello, that's regular flu area. Like, happens every year, you morons.
Exactly. And what amazes me about all of this, we have 126,277 deaths. We had 100,000 deaths in April. So what does that mean? May, June have passed, and that's only 13,000 deaths per month. Something's wrong with this particular picture if you're estimating that 25 million Americans got it. Death is not our biggest issue, now is it? Maybe it's just washing our gosh darn hands. Maybe that's it.
Number one, I don't believe those stats for a second. I can't think of the name of the senator that talked to Laura Ingraham and said essentially that going by the sheets that were demanded that he fill out during a death, they get $36,000 if it's linked to a Wuhan 19 death. Half that if it isn't. So I may die of a shark attack, but if I had Wuhan 19, that's how my death was listed. Now, yuck, that's really funny. Except, folks, do you remember when the funeral directors in New York were told how they had to fill out those forms? And the doctors were told by the CDC that that's how they had to fill out the forms? So yeah, all those death statistics, I don't believe them.
Exactly. Now, I just want to tell everybody who's following along at home that if we were to go with the Johns Hopkins estimate that 25 million Americans are infected with Wuhan flu or China virus or coronavirus for the leftists who prefer not to intimidate the Chinese, we literally have 0.5% of a death rate. Okay, death is not your biggest problem when it comes to coronavirus. Maybe being able to be home from work for 14 days is your biggest problem. And maybe if we had affixed ourselves to dealing with that issue rather than worrying about the death situation, we would have been a whole lot better off. And maybe if we not listened to governors or the mayor of the District of Columbia put sick people into nursing homes, we would not have had 126,000 people die. Maybe that would have been a help along the way. But please, all of you religious leaders of the mask and glove sect, please don't knock on my door with your magazines telling me that Jesus came and he wants you to wear a mask and some gloves. I'm not doing it. I'm just not doing it. I want to talk with you real quick, BZ, about Mark McCloskey and Patricia McCloskey. They happen to be living in the central west end of St. Louis in a Renaissance palazzo-style home in a very private residence. And unfortunately, Black Lives Matter decided to knock down the gate of the private area that they lived in to try to occupy a home. Unfortunately, they picked the McCloskey's home. Mr. and Mrs. McCloskey happened to be home. Mr. and Mrs. McCloskey told them to get the hell off their property or answer to an AK-47 and a pistol. Now, they have been shown as Ken and Karen on Facebook and other areas of social media and in media as being the bad guys in all of this. I have to ask you, BZ, is the problem that they protected their property, or is the problem that they didn't bring enough guns for the protection of their property?
Well, I'm looking at the photograph that you mentioned right there. It was an older style AR. So my guess is that it looks to me like it maybe had maybe the 15-round mag in it. It wasn't really all that big. It might have had the 30. I can't really tell from it right now. Yeah. His biggest problem, unless he had them shoved down his rear pants pockets, is that he didn't bring enough magazines.
Thank you.
That's the biggest problem that I see at this point. What the American media maggots, of course, and you already said, didn't tell anybody is that the mob broke through a gate in a private area. It was private property. They threatened to kill the residents. Before the residents came out armed, they called the police. The police didn't respond. They called their private security. The private security didn't respond. So they decided to respond. So, big America, this is going to be your problem in the future. Well, let's see. Leftists want it every way. They want you defenseless so that you can be kicked to death or stabbed or perhaps shot, because you don't know how many of those people are armed down there in the BLM rioters. By the way, did you notice, folks, that not all the people that were there, that were in front of that couple, not all of those folks were black. Some of those folks were white as well. And so the leftists don't want you able to defend yourselves. They're not going to give you cops. So basically, they want whatever it is that you have to be turned over to the mob. somebody somewhere is going to start to take a stand. And it looks like this guy did too. Now here's something else. Because of the statues that are getting pulled down by Washington and the one of Lincoln, obviously these people have no history. They really, I'm sure, have no idea who these people are. My understanding is that they were trying to go in there to find the St. Louis mayor in some fashion. They may or may not have found him. I don't know that about the story. But the odd thing about this guy is that he was also currently in the process, he's an attorney, what was left out is that he's in the process of having a defendant who is suing the police who happens to be a black guy. And so this is the guy that they want to target? Really? Well, they don't know that. They don't care about that. They don't care about any of that stuff. You've said it for quite some time. I didn't really, I have to admit, I'm guilty, Ken. I didn't really listen to what you've been saying for probably the past year, maybe even 2 years. Or you can correct me and tell me how long it's been.
Yeah, you're about that.
This really isn't about BLM. This really isn't about Antifa. It's about turning Western civilization upside down. It's about installing anarchy. It's about breaking and destroying everything, removing Western civilization, installing socialism and or going straight for communism. Once again, no private property, the government owns all, and all these people want to be part and parcel of the government itself. All the little dachas in Russia, 1984, Animal Farm, Brave New World, read all their books. They're happening right now. So I'm convinced now. I'm absolutely convinced. George Floyd, I'm sorry you're dead, but you just got used badly, like a discarded tampon. You don't mean anything.
Exactly.
Because the whole deal is you were used as an excuse to start all of this. And to start all of this, someone somewhere made a decision that this will be the flick of the match that starts everything. Would this have started under Obama? Would Obama's presidency be lit up like this?
No.
I don't believe so.
No.
Now, in 2015, you bet it cooked off. Just before 2016 and OMB, the installation of him. But it didn't cook off like it does now, or like it did now. And part and parcel, a good portion of this has to do with making sure that they remove him. And the other thing is, God, I can't think of the Shakespearean phrase. It goes something like this, and I may misquote it terribly. Methinks thou doth protest too much.
Too much. Yes.
And have you noticed, Sir Ken, that especially this week, now we're hearing information that, well, Trump really doesn't want to be in the presidency, and he's all bummed out about the fact that it's not going to be an easy win. And I think I said this on your show either last week or the week before. These are tactics. All the polls that are coming out, Biden is ahead so far. The further towards November it's going to get, I said you're going to hear one of two things. Your vote doesn't count because Trump is so far ahead, so you don't need to show up at the polls. Or your vote doesn't count because Trump is so far behind that your vote doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. This is all propaganda. It's a strategy play. Don't stop. Trump isn't going anywhere. He's going to kick everyone's butt in 2020 on November 3rd, November 4th. Now, granting, November 4th, folks, when you wake up in the morning, it is going to be a shit show. Guaranteed. All across the fruited plain.
I agree.
We'll deal with that when it comes.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. And I just wanted to say a couple of things while you're still with me here. And tonight we're talking with Biff Zeppe from SHR Media. He is the host of BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon. You can hear him at 11 o'clock on SHRmedia.com on Tuesdays and Thursday nights. And I truly love this man because he's a tremendous orator and a great definer of times. one of the things that you'll notice about the McCloskey couple, I just wanted to digress back to the St. Louis couple, and I want to read for you what the attorney said about the couple. Albert Watkins is the attorney for the couple who are now under investigation by the St. Louis Attorney General. Wonder how that worked out. He says the couple are longtime civil rights advocates and support the message of the Black Lives Movement. He said they grabbed their guns when 2 or 3 protesters who were white violently threatened the couple and their property and that of their neighbors. Wait a minute. Remember when we heard that neighbor argument down Ahmed Aubrey? When the 3 white guys, real Southerners, who were considered white supremacists, even though one of them was a former police officer who had investigated Ahmed Aubrey, all of a sudden when their neighbors called out that Ahmed was in the neighborhood doing some evil, and he decided as a police officer to do a citizen's arrest, all of a sudden there was a problem. Okay? Now there's a problem here with those people who believe in the Black Lives Matter movement. And it's something I've said before. Eventually the purity test will come to you, and you will not match the purity test, and you will lose your property, your life, your livelihood. It's just that simple, ladies and gentlemen. I also want to tell you one other thing. Go back and read about the October surprise or the October Revolution in Russia. One of the first things that was done, and you need to listen to Robert Johnson earlier this week, former BET owner, former owner, I believe he still owns the Charlotte Bobcats. He stated that Black Lives Matter needed to start their own political party. Now, what did the Bolsheviks do? After the February Revolution and the start of the October Revolution, they started their own political party. I'm just saying, ladies and gentlemen, that you can repeat history and not even know you are. What say you, sir?
I'm going to keep saying this until it's inapplicable. And I start doing it on my show as well. Because these are, make no mistake, and I hate to devolve into this, but there's only one application. These are Nazi-like purity tests. Is your blood pure? Simple as that. And there isn't anyone under scrutiny that can currently pass a leftist purity test. The leftists are beginning to consume their own Facebook, Jimmy Kimmel. That's just the beginning. Sooner or later, Blackface Northam, de Blasio, etc., those people will likewise fall under the brutal gaze of the leftist purity tests. And I want to leave everybody with this. I'll say it until I die. First they came for the socialists, and I didn't speak out because I wasn't a socialist. They came for the trade unionists, and I didn't speak out because I wasn't a trade unionist. They came for the Jews, and I didn't speak out because I wasn't a Jew. Then they came for me. There was no one left to speak for me.
Bingo.
Historical Alzheimer's. We learn nothing.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Very well said. The purity test is coming your way. And for black churches, you're next. You're next to the purity test. If you don't measure up, your church will be burnt to the ground. They're telling you that right the heck now. There you are.
Malcolm X told you.
Malcolm X did. Yes, he did. Malcolm X. You gotta love him.
You said that, and I never forgot it. That was one of the best names ever.
Malcolm X. Just one other quick question for you. De Blasio says he's going to pull out $1 billion. All of a sudden, the New York Police Union has gone into a state of silence. What does that mean for this weekend, sir?
We know for a fact that 272 officers officers from the NYPD have put in their retirement papers in the past couple of weeks.
Good God Almighty.
Most departments, that would decimate an entire department. I don't know if anybody knows this. The bulk of the departments, there are 18,000 police departments in the United States. Probably 70% of those to 80% of those are comprised of departments having 10 officers or fewer in those departments. Let 272 officers go away, your department is eliminated. Also, today, LASO, the LA Sheriff's Department, the county CEO for LA said $147.4 million gone from your budget today. My county, right here, this is reality. Well, I'm in the middle of leftist central, but the reality of a lot of departments, because mine is not similar, this is what a lot of the officers are doing. They're getting into their cars after briefing, they're sitting down, they're starting up the cars, it's hot, they're going to turn on the air conditioning. They have a computer or a laptop in front of them. Sooner or later, it's going to go beep, then they're going to go out the gate, handle a call, come back, and you know what they do? They come back to the department parking lot and they stop, put it in P for park, and wait for the next car or wait for the next call. Proactive policing getting done?
No.
Any kind of proactive or self-initiated activity getting done? No, because they finally are getting the message, folks. Over-policing? Hitting them on the head with a hammer? Cops are finally understanding. You don't want protection. So they're going to go out, handle each call, and then they're not going to do it. They have blinders on like an 1800s horse.
Mm-hmm. If the leftists like McCloskey have to pull out an AR and a pistol to protect themselves from the same leftist groups that they supported, to hell what you have to think about, Mr. and Mrs. Conservative. You need to pick up your phone and find out how to get your concealed carry papers. You need to find out how to get you can go to TECN TV's sponsor page and buy gift cards for Brownells. You need to start buying your weapons and your ammo. Stop telling your kids to give you neckties and stuff like that. No, give me ammo. That's what you need for the new America, baby. Am I right, Biff?
You want to hear the good news? Good news. You want to hear some good news?
Yes.
In the history of the United States, and these are from stats from BATF and those who register, in the history of the U.S., in March of 2020, the greatest number of background searches were done ever for firearms. 2.5 million background checks for people purchasing firearms just in March of 2020. That's not including April, May, or June. Hallelujah.
Baby, get your gun. It ain't got to be a 9mm. It doesn't have to be a 45. Just get something that's going to protect you and your family. That's all I'm saying to you. Because one day when the revolution does appear on television, you're going to say, Ken did tell me back in February. Kid did tell me back in June. Kid did tell me before October came that the revolution was coming. BZ, thank you, sir. It is always a great joy to have you on the air with us.
Can I ask you a final question?
Sure you can.
The McCloskeys, do you think there's going to be more of them in the future, Ken?
Hell yeah! I think so. And you know, BZ, the people who are going to be most prepared are the ones who have prepared those for the worst. They really will be. Those people who have trained Black Lives Matter, the McCloskeys, they knew what they were going to be up against, and they were prepared. And you're sitting at home, Mr. and Mrs. Conservative, saying, well, they're not going to come in my neighborhood. Bull. They'll be there shortly.
Hey, Seattle, all the various urban rat cages, you voted for it.
There you go.
You're getting it.
You're next. It's going to be faster than standing in line at the deli. You're next. God bless you, sir.
Vote stupid votes, win stupid prizes.
Now, there's some people, BZ, there are people sitting at home saying Ken's just stirring up hyperbole. He's trying to sell guns on his website. No. The McCloskeys didn't buy any guns from me, but they kind of figured what was coming by what they had trained people to do. If you've ever gone to one of those rabid universities and ever had to deal with one of those rabid university students, I'm going to tell you right now, sometimes the only explanation that you can give them can't come from a book. It's got to come from a cartridge. Just got to be honest with you. That's sometimes the only way that they can understand anything. Deeper than physics. BZ, love you, man. Thanks for coming on tonight.
Thank you, Ken, my brother. I will support whatever you say until my and your dying day. God bless, sir. You take care.
You too. God bless you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not trying to scare you at all. At all. But I'm telling you right now, what you need to do is go to TECN TV, our sponsor page. You need, or even the movie page, and click on the Brownell gift card. You know you got family, St. Louis, Seattle, Chicago, New York, DC, Baltimore, Atlanta, Dallas, Los Angeles. And I know all y'all think y'all uppity and everything, and y'all so superior, and none of this stuff will ever happen in my neighborhood. That's the same thing they said in Beverly Hills, baby. That's the same thing the McCloskeys said in their private neighborhood in St. Louis. Let me just assure you that there is no place safe for the Marxist purity test. And you better be prepared when you fail it. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen, with more of the best in urban conservative talk right after these messages. We are not a democracy. We are a republic. You are watching the best in urban conservative news, talk, and movies, exceptionalconservativeshow.com, TECN TV. We will be right back.